important topic, okay?
So this is my witness statement, in character. One of the grounds of Miss Rancic's grievance was that she had been deliberately not invited to one of the usual golfing days that we hold for clients and potential clients. She raised this at her grievance hearing and suggested that she had not been notified of this and therefore had been deprived of the opportunity to attend. She suggested that she thought this was because she was a female and therefore there was a presumption that she did not play or did not enjoy golfing activities. During the meeting, I could not recall the exact details of this event, who had attended and how it had been managed. For these reasons, I felt that I needed to make further inquiries in regard after the hearing. After I adjourned the hearing, I firstly reviewed my calendar to check the date of the event. It was held on 24th of August 2014 and I had attended along with 3 other sales executives from the team. Esther did not attend. The event was in the electronic calendar only for those who had accepted the invitation to attend. I then reviewed my emails for the period prior to the event to see if I had sent a team email notifying all my sales team of the event. I could not find such an email in my outbox and therefore presumed I had mentioned this event to the sales team directly at the team meeting. I then searched for the team meeting minutes for the meeting prior to the golf day and noted on the agenda a specific item relating to business development events. This was a regular item on our team meeting agenda. I was unable to locate the minutes to the meeting. On the basis of this, I concluded that as I had not sent an email circular, I would have specifically mentioned this at the team meeting and notified all sales executives, including Ms. Rancic. It would have been normal practice for any interested sales executives to notify me whether or not they wish to attend. Ms. Rancic did not send me an email or approach me to let me know that she wished to attend. As a manager, I tried to encourage my team to develop their own interests and expertise, and I would not therefore force any corporate events or initiatives on them that they did not wish to attend. For example, it would not have made sense for an employee to attend a golfing day if they were unable to play golf or had no interest in it. I accept that a number of organisations that were on Ms. Rancic's target list attended that event. It was a pity that she chose not to attend, as following that event, Bernie Manrig was able to secure significant business from them, and accordingly that resulted in him achieving the sales bonus for those new clients. Sorry if I messed up a few of those words, just my lawyer wrote this for me.
Thank you. So if you look at that witness statement, you think, okay, well there is an explanation of what happened, isn't there? It doesn't look too bad. There's maybe some things that could have been done in a different way, but just reading the statement, you think, okay, well, that's kind of what he did. Okay, we can see that. So, brief, if you excuse us for a moment while we enter character.
I'm in it.
You there? Good, excellent. Okay, so, Mr. Clarksville, I'd like to talk to you first of all about the golf day that took place on the 24th of August of last year. Now, it's the case, isn't it, that this was raised in the grievance meeting?
Yes.
And during the course of that grievance meeting, you couldn't recall what had taken place in respect to the invitation to that golf day?
No, but I said that I'd go and investigate.
Okay. And then you subsequently did that, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay. And you established that there were 3 individuals that attended that golf day with you. That's the case?
Yes.
Okay. And could you name those 3 executives, please?
It was Orlando Bloom,
Mm-hmm.
Mel Gibson,
Mm-hmm.
and Todd Cruz.
Okay. Was Mr. Manrig not one of them?
Yes.
Well, you said that there was 3 that attended. You've just named 4.
Who did I say? Sorry, Mel Gibson, I think, couldn't come in the end, so Mr. Manrig came in his place. Okay,
thank you. Now, as far as these 3 individuals are concerned, how long have they all been with the business?
Oh, goodness. Orlando's long in the tooth. I mean, he's been there donkey's years, 10, 15 years. And I think the other 2, it's about 5 years, although, to be honest, feels like they've been here a lot longer.
And you've known them personally for a long period of time as well, haven't you?
Actually, I went to university with all of them.
I see. Okay. And would it be fair to describe you as a keen golfer, Mr. Clarksville?
I think that would be fair. Yeah, I'm quite good at golf.
And these other three, they're keen golfers too?
Yeah, well, of course they are.
Okay. And outside of the business environment for a moment, do you play golf with these three individuals occasionally?
Well, yes, but...
So how often would you say you play golf with them outside of work?
Oh, well, I don't know. You have to ask someone who's been counting.
Well, you're here, Mr. Clarksville. I'm just asking you to estimate. Once a week? Once a month?
No, not once a week. A couple of times a month, especially in the summer.
Okay. And are they often your companions when you undertake corporate golfing days as well?
Well, yeah, I mean, it makes sense to have them there because they're good at golf and they've got an interest in it.
Okay, thank you. Now, as far as the clients that were invited to the golf day, could you identify who those clients were for me, please?
There were Company 1 Limited, Company 2 Limited, and Company 3 Limited.
I see. Now, of those three, how many of them were on the client target list for the claimant?
Two of them I know she specifically was going after, and it was on her objectives that she should get that business in.
I see. And it's the case that they did subsequently become clients of the company. That's the case, isn't it?
Yeah, we're very lucky actually. All three signed up in the end, so it was a good result, a good team effort on that day. And
it was as a direct result of the activities on that day, you would say, Ms. Clarksville?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, fine. And so, is it Mr. Manrig who, therefore, obtained the benefit of securing them as clients? It was him that would get the commission on those deals?
Well, we were all there, but he put in plenty of effort, and as a result, the clients really went to him. So under the way that we operate our scheme, he would receive the credit and the commission for that new business.
I see. So those are clients on Miss Ransig's target list that Mr. Manrig has secured, and he's therefore received the benefit from securing them.
Well, yeah, I mean...
And Miss Ransig therefore has not received
she
anything.
She wasn't there. She didn't get the business in.
Okay, thank you. Now, you said in your witness statement that you couldn't remember the arrangements specifically that you made in respect of the golf day. That's the case, isn't it?
Yeah, at the time I couldn't remember at the time of the meeting.
Okay. Now, if I could ask you to look at your witness statement, paragraphs 23 and 24.
Yes.
You confirmed that you could find no evidence of an email being sent out inviting individuals to the golf day. Is that correct? No, no internal invite.
No, that's right.
Okay. And presumably you searched both inboxes and internal servers to look for that?
I asked somebody who would be in the know to do a search, and I looked in my own folders and I couldn't find anything.
So you're satisfied that no invitation was sent out?
I certainly couldn't find anything.
Okay, fine. Now, if we take it for a moment, therefore, that no invitation was sent out, you go on in your witness statement to say that it was your presumption that you must have discussed it at the team meeting that took place around that time. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, because obviously everyone was aware of it and was invited, and as it seemed that there wasn't an email, I then thought back to the meeting that we'd had before, the team meeting, and as you can see from my statement, which I've already read out to you, there's a clear agenda item where we discussed events, and so we discussed it at that event.
Notes are habitually taken at these meetings, are they?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, but there's no notes of this meeting?
Well, I think there would have been, but for some reason they seem to have been discarded or lost.
I see. And this meeting took place on the 10th of June, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So, without those meeting notes, we can't be sure exactly what was discussed in detail at that meeting, can we?
Well, I'm telling you so you can be sure, because I'm giving you the evidence, that at that meeting we would have discussed that event. That was the next event coming up. It would have been an agenda item. We would have discussed it as a team together.
Okay, well, again, you've used the word "we would have" And also in your witness statement, you say you presume that you would have discussed it, but you can't remember discussing it specifically, can you?
Well, I'm sure that we would have.
Well, that's not quite the question I asked, though, is it, Mr. Clarkswell? You cannot remember specifically discussing it, can you?
I can't remember word for word.
Okay. Now, it may be the case, might it not, that at best you could say that a golf day was discussed at that meeting, but you can't you can't confirm any details that were discussed regarding that golf day, can you? Because as you say, you can't recall exactly what was discussed.
As I said to you, I can't remember word for word, other than I'm sure it would have been discussed at that meeting.
Okay. Can I ask you, how did you then subsequently make the arrangements for that golf day to take place?
Well, I got in touch with the venue, the clients, and sorted it all out over email and things.
Okay, well, can we be a bit more specific about that? So, you called the clients to establish whether they would be available on certain days. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And then what did you do after that?
Well, we'd already arranged the date and time of the day, obviously, when I spoke to the clients. Once that was fixed, we discussed it at the meeting, and then the event took place sometime thereafter.
Okay. Well, if I could ask you to turn to page 25 and 28 of the bundle.
Yes.
Okay, now there's some emails here, and the first of which is to Company A, Company 1 Limited, asking them whether they would be available on a particular date for the golf day. Is that correct?
Yes, that looks right.
And if we look at the following page with the response, they provided you with a number of days that they might be available. Is that correct?
Yes. Okay.
And the days that they suggested actually aren't the day that you originally suggested to them, are they, Mr. Clarkswell?
No.
Okay. And then if I ask you to turn to page 28 of the bundle, this is an email sent to the golf club booking the golf day in question, is it not?
Yes, that's my email.
Okay. And can I ask you to look at the date of that email? That is the 14th of June, isn't it?
Yeah, 14th of June.
And if we turn back as well to the emails we were just discussing between you and the clients, inviting them, those are also dated the 14th of June, aren't they, Mr. Clarkswell?
Yes.
Okay. So it would appear that the date for the golf day was only decided having received feedback from the clients on the 14th of June, wasn't it, Mr. Clarkswell?
Yeah, not with you, what's the issue? That looks raised on the 14th of June.
Okay. So we heard evidence from you earlier on regarding the content of the meeting on the 10th of June, where you said you presumed, or you recalled, that the arrangements for the golf day were discussed at that meeting. Is that correct? That was what you said, wasn't it, Mr. Clarkswell?
The 10th of June, yeah.
And that meeting predates by 4 days the day on which the arrangements were actually made for the golf day. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And so it cannot be the case, can it, that at the meeting on the 10th of June, specific invitations were given to members of the team to attend the golf day on any given day, because that date hadn't actually been put in the diary yet, had it?
Well, we must have discussed what we knew at the time at the meeting.
But again, the question I asked is you couldn't have discussed the day on which the golf day was going to be held because you didn't know when that would be.
Looks as if the date hadn't been set in stone.
So you couldn't have discussed that, could you?
No.
No, thank you. So at best, you could say that maybe you discussed in principle a golf day taking place, but not about any formal arrangements for it.
Yeah, we would have discussed what we knew at that time.
Okay. Well, it is the evidence of Ms. Ransig that no such discussions took place, and that is the case, isn't it? No such discussions took place regarding the golf day on the 10th of June.
Well, I mean, we have to agree to disagree.
Thank you. Now, I just want to talk to you briefly about the actions that were taken after the booking was made. Now, we've already established that no email was sent round, was it, to all staff, inviting them to attend the golf day?
Well, I mean, what I said is I couldn't find any email.
Well, if we work on the assumption for a moment that nothing was sent, you can't recall one and there's no evidence of one, how did you go about checking whether people wanted to attend or not?
Well, I after the email had got out, I then spoke to people in the office and asked them if they could look at my email and if they wanted to come, then we sorted it all out for them.
Okay. And so those conversations took place on the 14th of June, after you made that booking?
Yeah.
Okay. And if we look at the calendars of the 3 individuals who attended, we can see that those bookings were made. They were made on the 14th of June, that's the case, isn't it? So you must have told them on that day.
Yes, yeah.
And the 14th of June was a Friday, wasn't it?
Looking at the calendar, yes.
Okay. That's the case that Miss Rancic doesn't work on a Friday, does she?
Why, where was she?
Well, as you're aware, she's a part-time worker, isn't she? She only works 4 days a week.
Yes, no, sorry, you're right. I don't think that's one of her days she's not in.
So when you asked around the office to see whether anyone wanted to attend, you couldn't have asked her, could you?
Well, she wasn't there.
No, so you didn't ask her, did you?
What I would have done.
Again, that's not quite the question that I'm asking, Mr. Clarkswell. You didn't ask her, did you?
Well, she wasn't there on that day, so she wouldn't have heard my questions.
Thank you. Have you ever played golf with Mr. Rancic, Miss Rancic?
No. No, I haven't, no.
Okay. You make a comment in your statement, don't you, about how there's no point in inviting individuals to golf days who wouldn't enjoy it and can't play golf and they would derive no benefit from it.
You won't disagree with that, would you?
Well, it's not for me to answer questions. I'm asking that question of you, Mr. Clarkswell.
Well, I have said that, and I stand by that.
Have you ever asked her whether she wants to play golf with you or at any event?
She's certainly never told me that she likes golf.
Okay. You're aware that she has a handicap of 6 at golf, are you, Mr. Clarkswell?
Really? No, well, okay, it's quite good. Yeah.
So when you say that someone who's not interested in golf and can't play golf would achieve or have very little benefit from attending a golf day, that clearly doesn't apply to her, does it?
Well, not if what you've said is true, no.
So you've assumed that she wouldn't be interested and that's why you didn't invite her?
We've had a number of discussions in the office about golf and she's never made that clear to me, so I didn't know about her interest.
So you made the assumption not to bother inviting her?
Well, it's a reasonable assumption for me to take.
Why do you say that that's a reasonable assumption? How would you know what someone's personal interest would be if you didn't ask them?
Well, it's obvious, isn't it?
Why is it obvious that Miss Rancic wouldn't be interested in golf?
Well, come on. You know, when you look at certain people.
I have no further questions for this witness. So you see that Darren didn't break into tears, nor did he swing for me, and he didn't swear at any stage. But you can see he did do a few things that really it's not a particularly wise thing to do. So first of all, he clearly hadn't told his solicitors everything, had he? Because there's this rather major date discrepancy about when the meetings took place. And it was only when we then started cross-examining him that he actually realised that his dates were wrong and he couldn't possibly have had the conversations that he did on the date that he said he had them. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that, well, you tell me, what do you think that Darren did that he didn't do particularly well, he could have done slightly differently? What do you think?
He's quite stubborn on a couple of his points.
Sorry, what's it?
He's quite stubborn on a couple
Yes,
of
he was
points.
quite stubborn, yeah, exactly. And he was asked a number of questions that were really sort of yes-no answers, but he didn't answer yes or no to. He tried to sort of justify what he did. Anything else, what do you think?
Makes an assumptions rather than just answering questions.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he just says, well, I just assumed that was the case, especially in respect to the golf and whether Miss Rancic would be interested in playing golf at all. And you know, the nice throwaway remark at the end, where you know you just look at people and you know what sort of things they'd be interested in. You know, it's the sort of thing that you really hope your witnesses aren't going to say at tribunal. Anything else to say?
A little antagonistic in some of his replies.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. You know what I was saying earlier on about, no, that's not correct. Yes, that is correct. Just having a very neutral, impartial response to it. Yeah, he didn't do particularly well at that, did he? Anything else? Sam, yeah?
Couldn't remember who attended the golf day
Yeah.
out of the employees.
That was a bit of a stinker, wasn't it, right from the outset? He's asked, so there's 3 people attended. Who attended? He names 3 people, and one of them, in his own witness statement, he says it's Bernie Manrig who benefited from coming on the golf day. And when he names the 3 people that attended, he didn't even name that person. That's not a particularly great job, is it? Didn't read his evidence, didn't know what his evidence said. Anything else? Yeah.
He said as well he didn't write his own witness statement.
Yes.
You didn't ask me about that.
No, I didn't, because I assumed that was just a throwaway remark while he was still getting into character. So I didn't realise that you were fully in character at that stage. What do you think about the evidence regarding the meetings and what was said and what wasn't said? What do you think?
Paul.
Sorry?
It was Paul.
It was Paul. Yeah, and he was.
Paul.
Yeah, and he was making a lot of presumptions, wasn't he? He didn't know. The answer is, I can't remember. Okay? I can't remember. It would be normal for us to discuss these matters, but I can't remember specifically. And he wasn't saying that. He was saying, oh, well, it's in the notes, and I presume we must have talked about it. Yeah, we must have done. I'm certain we must have done that. He's not certain at all. He can't remember that at all. There's no notes of it. And he's sort of trying to get around the fact that he can't remember it by giving half-truths and sort of saying, well, we almost, yeah, probably. Well, you didn't. You can't remember it. Just say, I can't remember. Can't remember specifically. It just makes you look shifty if you try and wriggle your way out of that. Yeah, any more?
He made a statement about normally their team meetings will be documented, but on this particular incident, it appears that it got missing, which would be a bit fishy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, so where are the notes of this meeting? You know, all the other notes exist, but these ones just happen to have disappeared off into the ether. Where are they? You know, it's obviously potentially convenient to him if they're not there. Maybe inconvenient if they did actually have these discussions, but the presumption is that, yeah, they weren't particularly helpful to him. Anything else? No. Well, I think it's just a good example of how well, when we said at the start, I mean, it's a very simple exercise and it is a little bit contrived, and, you know, it's not as realistic as perhaps it could be, but it's a good example of how when we read the statement, we sort of thought, well, okay, you know, it's not too bad. He's sort of explaining what he did. But then when he gave his evidence, he gave it poorly. He tried to fill in the blanks that were missing by saying, well, I would have done this, I would have done that, when he knows no such thing. He can't confirm that. And then also, he had failed to give his solicitors the information they needed, and so that his credibility was completely shot down when he said, well, we definitely discussed the contents of this on the 10th of June, when actually none of the dates and none of the organisation was done until after that. You know, it just completely undermines the credibility of everything else that he's saying. So yeah, that's how it can fall apart. How are we doing for time?
I think you're probably about finished now.
I think I probably have that finished. So I think I'm now going to hand over to Helen